Sairam, and welcome to this Choose Your Own Speaker session with Auntie Revathi Sundar, who will speak to us on the topic of making Swami our priority. My name is Nihilesh, and I will be your MC for this session. With Swami's grace, Auntie Revathi was born and raised in a Sai family. She had studied in India and later moved to Singapore and then to Wellington, New Zealand, where she finally settled. It was the Lord's will that brought Auntie and her family to New Zealand through a sweet episode in 2009. She is now a stalwart of her Sai Centre and an active SSE and Bal Vikas teacher. She has also volunteered her time and efforts to Radio Sai and other Sai spiritual literature activities. Through all these different times and locations of her life, she forever strives to keep Swami as her priority, particularly now as a loving homemaker. Today, we are fortunate that Auntie will present to us on the topic of making Swami our priority. Through her own experience and understanding of Swami's teachings, she will explore why we should make Swami our priority, and more importantly, how we can truly make Swami our priority. Om Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. With humble pranams, I submit my entire being at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Mother Sai. I am indeed truly grateful for this opportunity, and my heartfelt gratitude to our most beloved Bhagwan and to all the members of the organizing committee of this event for granting me this invaluable, most precious opportunity of sharing a few words on Swami. The topic given to me for the day is making Swami our priority. My dear brothers and sisters in Sai, my most loving Sairams to every one of you. At the very outset, the topic clearly conveys to us that we, as Sai devotees, have to make Swami our topmost priority, which simply means that we have to choose and prioritize Swami over all else, over everything else. And Swami's divine name, Sai, stands as a permanent, constant reminder in this connection. The name Sai, the S, stands for Swami first. A stands for all others next, and I stands for the individual comes at the very end as the very last. And my dear brothers and sisters, out of the several million species in this creation, how very fortunate and blessed we are to be born as human beings. As Swami often says, that he has given us the ultimate gift by granting us this human birth, that too at the most unique and special times during his advent on earth. But this hasn't come by easily to any one of us. After several millions of lifetimes, we have all evolved as humans, and we have been chosen to be born as contemporaries of an avatar. And my dear brothers and sisters, isn't it inevitable that we make proper use of this precious and the rarest of the gifts so that we don't have to be born again? But how do we achieve that? By simply prioritizing God, our beloved Swami, over everyone, everything else. When we say we have chosen God, it only means that we have been chosen by Him. It is absolutely His will that we have been born and blessed to come to know of Him, to be aware of His presence in our lives. And we need to make conscious decisions, choices and efforts to continue to be in His fold and to follow His divine teachings and directions in our everyday life, at every single moment, in every given circumstance and opportunity. That amounts to taking just one step towards Him. How often our Swami has given us His divine assurance that if we take one step towards Him, He would take hundreds. And what do we have to do in particular in order to prioritize Swami? And a question might arise in our minds and hearts as to what we should be doing, as to what to do. Do we have to give up our current duties and all our responsibilities and retire into the forest? What exactly are we supposed to do? And how do we practice prioritizing Swami in our lives? Swami has clearly instructed us to remain wherever we are and to continue to do whatever our duties and responsibilities that are assigned to us, only with a change in our attitude from materialism to spiritual orientation. By prioritizing Swami, we essentially mean that we put Swami's teachings into practice in our everyday life. Our beloved Bhagwan has given us the essence of all the scriptures in 8 beautiful, simple words. Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never, which anyone and every one of us can practice with ease without any difficulty whatsoever. If we uphold this teaching as our ideal and motto in our everyday lives, it essentially means we are living as directed and as guided by Swami in every aspect of our lives. My dear brothers and sisters, in our everyday life, we tend to make so many choices and preferences in every aspect, and it requires a continuous, constant, and conscious effort to use Swami's teachings as our touchstone. Whether our thoughts, words, and actions correlate and are in concurrence with loving service and helping everyone and everything, and at the same time abstaining from hurting anyone, anything, even in our thoughts, in the slightest possible manners. Swami does not see any distinction between material life and spiritual life. In truth, He has always been training us to make our lives spiritual in this material world. As it is, Swami has clearly mentioned to us that there is only one life that has come to us as a gift from Bhagwan, and that life has to be lived only in this material world. But it is up to us to prioritize our lives into a spiritual manner. And the most practical way to achieve this could be by way of incorporating Swami into everything that we do, and in fact offering our every innermost thought, every single moment only to Him. We all know from our personal experience that Swami is the indweller, prompting and guiding us to experience our very true nature, our very own divinity. When we consciously practice the 5 human values as given by Swami, truth, righteousness, peace, love, and non-violence, He takes charge of our lives instantly. When we choose to take the correct path instead of the easy path, we are guaranteed to be protected by Him. My dear brothers and sisters, there are any number of examples and evidences of His divine intervention in such matters and incidents in each one of our lives. And to quote one such experience from my very own life, it happened several years ago we were living in Singapore, and I had made a trip to India, and the primary purpose of the visit was to visit to have visit Prashanti Nilayam and to have the darshan of our most beloved mother Swami, our Sai Ma, and I was in Chennai with the extended family, and fortunately or unfortunately, at the time of my scheduled travel to Prashanti Nilayam from Chennai, there was a very bad statewide strike going on in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is where Puttaparthi is situated. And the only trains were functional. All other modes of transport, the land transport like buses and taxi services, everything was completely stopped. For there was a lot of violence at that point in time. So obviously everyone around me was not letting me travel at that point in time given the circumstances, for they thought it was highly unsafe. But I was praying deep within my heart. I was praying to Swami and asking for his guidance and praying for his divine intervention. To My desire was to travel, but at the same time I didn't know whether it was all right to disobey every elder's words and to make the travel. And the day before the scheduled date of travel, Swami appears in my dream and he's asking me, "When are you coming to see me? Come." And that was indication enough. That divine command was enough of assurance. And the choice was instantly made, my dear brothers and sisters. Yes, Swami, I will come what may. For you are asking me to travel. It becomes now your responsibility to take care of this little self. And as planned, I traveled from Chennai to Bangalore by train with no incidents whatsoever. It was all smooth and perfect. And while I was traveling, I was carrying a few objects and equipments to be handed over to the hospital, and also some of the objects to be given away as service, by way of service. So, with all that, the baggage had become very heavy beyond my physical ability to carry and to handle. And once I reached Bangalore, the train, where I was trying to alight from the train, but I needed help to bring the luggage out. And to my dismay, there was nobody to help out. There were no porters to be seen. Everyone had gone, or practically nobody was seen around. And with deep, heartfelt prayers to Swami, I was seeking Swami's help, asking Swami to give me the physical strength and the ability to handle the baggage. Right at that moment, my dear brothers and sisters, a gentleman, a porter, walks straight towards me as if someone had guided him to go and help out. He comes straight over to me and he says, "Where is your baggage?" And I showed him, and he picked it up, and I asked, "How much do I pay you, sir?" He said, "Let me first do the job." And he brought the luggage down, and I was to change to another train from Bangalore to Puttaparthi. I had to take another train, and when I mentioned that to him, he took me to that concerned platform. He left my baggage and he made me sit comfortably on a bench there, and he said there is plenty of time for the train to come, and he had asked me to relax, and he said he would come and put the luggage in. And I again asked him, "You haven't told me how much do I pay you? I can pay you right now. How much, sir?" He said, No, I'll come. I'll put your luggage in the other train and then I'll tell you. Then I'll take it from you." And he left. And exactly at the time when the train was coming in, that gentleman came back. He helped me with the luggage. He put the luggage right under the seat where I was to be seated, and I requested him to tell me how much. By then I had decided he was of huge, immense help to me, and I was willing to, give him anything that he would ask. Even if he wouldn't mention anything, I was willing to give him, very generously from my heart, because I was very grateful for the kind of help he had offered to me. And when I asked him, "How much do I pay you, sir?" he was putting the bag underneath the seat. He didn't say anything. So I opened my hand purse and I was, taking the money out. And how long it would have taken, dear brothers and sisters? A few seconds, a split second. And in the meantime, when I pulled out a few currency notes, I'm looking around. He is not to be seen anywhere. I am in one end of the compartment. If he had to alight through this this exit, he should have clearly crossed over and gone. But if he was to alight through the other end or the other exit, he should be walking through all the way through the compartment, and I cannot miss seeing him because the passage is clear with no one around. So he is not to be seen this side or that side. And I was shedding tears of gratitude, profusely thanking Swami. And when I reached Prashanti Nilayam safely, there I was sitting at the very first darshan, my heart overflowing with gratitude and with supreme love for this supreme dear mother, Sai Ma. And Swami goes past me in the darshan. He turns around, gives me a sweet, bewitching smile, and he said, "Porter, Porter." He smiled and he moved past. My dear brothers and sisters, that one simple choice to obey his command of traveling to Puttaparthi, what more do we need to ask or to say? He is ever within us, always surrounding us, always helping us, always willing to protect us and to take care of us. That one simple choice is enough for this sweet Lord to take over from there. And my dear brothers and sisters, when we uphold his teachings and when we begin to walk the talk, emulating Swami as our example, as our role model, as Swami himself has said, his life is his message, then we certainly begin to experience Swami's divine presence constantly, his omnipresence, his omniscience, and his omnipotence every split second. Swami has always been saying, "My life is my message." But later he changed it and he started saying, "Your life is my message," which only conveys Swami's trust and his faith in every one of us, in all of us. And it only requires conscious, constant efforts to start with, as to make Swami our top priority. It's just the beginning that we have to make conscious effort. But as we keep going forward, onward, inward, we realize that there is no longer the limiting I, me and mine. All that there is Sai. When there is only Sai and Sai alone, there is nothing any longer needed to organize or to prioritize. All that is only him. Life just flows on smoothly in love and peace as truth and righteousness pervades through the course of our entire lives. And all through we exist as non-violent beings, filled with love and compassion, worthy of this human birth. Our mortal existence becomes a humble, grateful offering to the very Creator, to the cosmic Lord, the Sai, our Master, our eternal teacher, our Sadguru. And it is comparable to the three stages of I am in the light is in me, I am the light, I am divine. And now, sharing a few personal experiences from the life of this humble, simple self, my dear brothers and sisters. Years ago, when I was pursuing my academic education, I had opted for a very aggressive and a very, what to say, materially steeped line of studies. And Swami let me go through the process all through. And he knew that it was not meant for this little self, perhaps, but I wouldn't know as a limited human being. But after the course was done, completed, Swami from the very land of the divine land of Puttaparthi, Prashanti Nilayam, Swami being the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God, he appeared in the physical before me in a far off place within India. And he spoke to me in few words and he said to give away that educational uh, qualification to him. And in return, he told me this little self, he gave me the option of choosing Swami Sai. So there was a little choice to be made there. As a, a teenager, as a very young person, it was perhaps, it would have been, or it might have become very cumbersome or tedious. But Swami being the indweller, the guiding Lord, he made this little one make the right choice at the right moment. He made me give up the educational accomplishment and choose Sai instead, which is the supreme-most choice one could ever make, the supreme-most possession one could ever attain. And from that moment, there is no turning back in the life of this little self. For when we possess God, this entire creation becomes our very own. For the Creator belongs to us. What can be lacking in our lives? And after that incident, Swami kept me, thinking for a while as to what to do next. And I started pursuing journalism as my career. But again, Swami knew that it is not meant for this little self again. So once during a visit to Prashanti Nilayam, he called us for an interview and he spoke to me and he said, "Why don't you take up teaching?" I said that was the only profession I was not too fond of, or I was never convinced of taking up. And I was telling in my heart, I was thinking, Swami, that is not something of my liking. And I don't think I will make a good teacher, Swami. It is all what I'm thinking within. I didn't speak it out loud. But Swami said, "You will make a very good teacher. You are a very good teacher. Teach, take up teaching." And implicitly, that obedience to Bhagwan, he again commanded and he prompted that from within, that I instantly make the choice then and there. And I said, "Yes, Swami. Yes, Swami, I will take up teaching, Swami." And that again was an opportunity or a moment of making a choice. And the choice was made then and there. And never to regret that choice ever in my life. After continuing as a teacher, which was much appreciated by all the children and the co-workers alike, Swami, during one of my visits to Prashanti Nilayam, Swami said, "Enough of all commercial work." And Swami took away the temptation to even think or ask, "Why, Swami?" He had removed that temptation of even asking or thinking for a split second, "Why, Swami?" Instantly the choice was made from commercial work to no commercial activity. The choice was instantly made then and there in the divine presence, which is again his divine will and his divine prompting from within. There is no glory of the individual. It is always Swami who's prompting us from within to make the right choice, the right decision. We just have to submit ourselves at his feet. And years went by. I was so involved and fully engaged in Sai activities. This was all happening in Singapore. And the time had come when Swami had decided that he was to move us from Singapore to New Zealand, to the New Island, as he himself has said. When Swami had made that decision, that divine decision was made, the way he conveyed it to me was very beautiful. He doesn't have to convince this little self. Whatever he wills is done. But yet, Swami wants us to make that choice with a very happy heart, which is why. But in the beginning, it came as a big shock to me that we had to move to New Zealand, so far away from the physical Prashanti Nilayam. Because my heartfelt, intense desire was to move back to India, we were making all preparations towards that. But as Swami alone knows, we had to, move to New Zealand. Everything was decided, done. And before we could make the physical trip, we decided to go to Prashanti Nilayam to seek Swami's blessings. While we were there as a family, Swami called us for an interview, and he told, I was crying all the while. I was literally heartbroken within, because the very thought that I'm physically moving so far away from Bhagwan, that was enough of distress and, sorrow or pain for me in my heart. And Swami looked at me and he said, why are you crying? Why are you upset? Why are you sad? Wherever you are, I am there with you. The place where you are is Prashanti Nilayam. Then he said, no, no, no. He nodded his head like in the negative, no, no, no. And he said, Prema Prashanti Nilayam. My dear brothers and sisters, that moment, an instant choice was made within. Never to be upset, never to be sorrowful, never to regret this physically moving away from the physicality of Bhagwan. And wherever Bhagwan, when he has said, wherever you are, I am there with you. And the place where you are is Prema Prashanti Nilayam. Yes, my dear brothers and sisters, true to his promise, he has been proving deep within me. I am able to feel, as every one of you do, I am able to feel the constant divine presence of Swami, always, everywhere, at all times. The omnipresence, omnipotence, and the omniscience of Swami is what prompts us to make the right choice at the right moment. And all said and done, the creator that he is also God of small things. He never discards anything as too small, simple, or trivial, so long as we include him in anything and everything. If we make our hearts into temples of worship and enthrone our Swami within, he will ensure that our hearts are purified and cleansed, and we become worthy and qualified to be called his divine home. His divine name does it all and more. Chanting his name keeps us constantly connected to Swami, because his divine name and form are inseparable, like the two sides of the same coin. Chanting the name draws us to his instant divine presence, and it grants us the heightened awareness of his immense presence, the presence of supreme love and compassion always. And the most remarkable transformation begins to take place within us in the process, the expansion of our hearts. When Swami is the sole occupant of our hearts, he starts playing football and he starts kicking all that does not belong there. And he keeps cleansing our hearts, purifying our souls. And the heart becomes truly a temple of God, a church of God, and a synagogue of God. And there is plenty of room for all of creation, for the entire creation, as one Sai family. The cosmic Sai is our indwelling God, and He leads us towards immortal life, making the path as blissful and fruitful as the destination, which is Sai Himself. And the transformation process happens in this way. Sai, S stands for spiritual transformation. A stands for attitudinal transformation. And finally, the I stands for the individual transformation, leading to the global cosmic transformation. For Swami has always been telling us, when you transform, when you become pure, you see all of creation as one family, as one identity, as one. The one truth, the true truth, the cosmic Sai that ever is. God is, Sai is. My immense gratitude to my most beloved Bhagwan and to every one of you, my dear brothers and sisters in Sai. My humble pranams at the divine lotus feet once again. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you for the opportunity. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, Auntie. What a beautiful talk. I really love what you said about simply putting Swami's teachings into practice with that continuous and conscious effort. And it is in that way that we actually make Swami our priority. And also that Swami is the only role model and that we must emulate him and his life, as his life is his message. But we must also ensure that in practicing his teachings, that our life becomes his message. Thank you again, Auntie. We now move on to the question and answer session. Auntie, I have a few questions that I'd love to ask you. The first question, why should we prioritize Swami if all that there is only God?
Sai Ram, that's a very beautiful question. And by way of answering that question, we have two aspects to this. All that is there is only God. And why should we prioritize Swami? Yes, of course, all that exists is only God, only divinity all around, because divine is all pervading. But yet, are we in truth of that truth that all that is there is only God? Seldom we tend to remember that, because in this mundane world, we are caught up between this and that. From dawn to dusk, we are all engaged doing one thing or the other. We are all packed with bundles of activities. And in the midst of all this, when there is so much of to-dos and don'ts and list of desires and our goals to be met on our day-to-day activities, sometimes this true truth takes a backseat, that all that is there is only God. In truth, it exists, but it just temporarily slips out of our minds. And as Swami very clearly puts it, if someone is hungry, if you start giving them the recipe or the description of the varieties of food that will satiate his hunger, will that be sufficient? If someone gives them a list of all what he could or she could eat to satiate the hunger, that's obviously not going to help the hungry. What is going to help them is some physical mortal food. Similarly, this theoretical knowledge or awareness in theory, that which we still carry only as an aspect of knowledge in our heads, is not going to help us realize Swami in our lives. So Swami, being a practical God, practical avatar of the modern times, he knows our difficulties. He knows our practical challenges in our day-to-day life. That is why he has said, I know you're all having a big list of desires. I know you all have mundane several activities. So amidst all this, we do have to exist in this material world, but it's up to us to spiritualize our life. So Swami has given us the practical solution how we can get started in the process of spiritualizing our lives. That is to simply putting Swami on top of everything, over and above everything else, everyone else. Swami has to take the top position in our everyday activities, in our every thought, in our every word, in our every action. Which is why Swami has said, first, when you start the day, take Swami's name. Wake up with Swami as the first thought in your minds, in your hearts. Imprint the divine name in your heart. It makes it easy for you to flow through the day, carry the divine in your everyday activity, in your every single task, however trivial or mundane it could be. Which is why we need to put Swami over and above all else, and that can only be a starting point. With consistent, constant, continuous practice, practically, if we train ourselves to prioritize Swami every single moment of our lives, in every single activity of ours, in every single thought of ours, then we would surely end up realizing, being practically aware that all that exists, all that is there, is only God, only divine, only our beloved Sai. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Auntie. It really does. Just to the next question now. How do we connect the statements, I am in the light is in me, and I am the light, in our life's journey?
Thank you for this beautiful question again. It is, of course, a very beautiful question, very thought-provoking, very insightful. We have three statements here. I am in the light is in me, I am the light, I am divine. So to start with, as we saw earlier, we all need to end up as the light, as divine. That culminates our journey. But the starting point has to be somewhere. And that starting point is, I am in the light. And as our beloved Bhagwan has said many times, we all have to create that awareness, conscious awareness, that God is all pervading. He is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. And when we have that constant awareness, when we try to remind ourselves every moment that Swami is everywhere, he is watching me all the time, then our every thought is being regulated. With that awareness that Swami is watching over me, I cannot do a mistake willfully, nor can I slip in my routines or in my day-to-day, my responsibilities or in my duties or whatever task I'm meant to do. I meant to take anything light. For if I carry that awareness that Swami is watching over me, I'm in the presence of the divine light, that I'm in the presence of Swami all the time, wherever I am, whatever I do, whoever I may be. My constant awareness is enough for me to remember that Swami is there with me everywhere, wherever I go, whatever I do. He is watching over me. So with that awareness, I start becoming more and more disciplined. And I start showing sincerity, commitment. I start taking every single act that I do with utmost sincerity. And I start believing that Swami is watching me, so I need to do my best. Swami has said, I do not want the very best of the whole population, but whoever I've handpicked, I've chosen, I want the very best from you. You can always give your best, even though you may not be the best. So we can always commit ourselves to Swami to give our best, to be our best. So that is a starting point, which in fact, we are taking a first step towards Swami, towards that light of love, towards that light of wisdom that Swami is. And that will lead us to the next step. I mean, even though we say steps or stages, or, they might sound like two different or three different stages or steps, but they are all interconnected. One leads to the other. So it definitely, that constant awareness leads us to the next state or level, that the light is in me. We come to the state or the point that the light is in me. We start feeling that loving light of love and wisdom within us, constantly prompting and guiding us. Swami walks along. We take Swami's hand and we start walking. Initially, we sit a few steps in awe. We sit and watch Swami with admiration and with a lot of, you know, so much of attraction towards the divine. But slow looking at his activities and looking at Swami as God, it gives us a kind of awe initially. But slowly, when we comfort ourselves into coming closer and closer to Him, then that leads us to the next stage of being aware of the light being present in me. That is when we start realizing Swami Sai is not elsewhere. He is very much inside me. He is an indweller. He is the very indweller who's guiding, prompting, and prodding me to do the right thing, to do my best, to always give my best, to always be my best. So that is the next stage it leads us to. And finally, it leads us to the crux or the culmination of the entire journey, which is the complete total awareness of the true truth, which is I am the light. How many times Swami has been telling us time and again, Prema Swaruplara, you are not just simple, ordinary mortals. You are not just ordinary humans. You are divine. Your true nature is Prema, love. And your very aspect or your very form is Atma, the spirit soul. So he calls us the loving spirit form. He doesn't see us as men or women, young or old, educated, illiterate. So he sees all of us as the light of love, the spark of the divine. So that takes us to that complete awareness, the total completion of the entire journey, which is the fruit of this human existence, this human birth, which is I am the light, which is I am divine. So Swami leads us to that state of becoming one with Him. When we start walking alongside Sai, from awe, admiration, to trying to learn to follow and to walk side by side with Swami, that takes us to realize, to be aware, to constantly be in that awareness, conscious awareness that I am not any different from Sai. I am God, I am Sai. And Swami has given a very beautiful short story there. There was a devotee who was very distressed in life. He was boggled down by many of his life problems and challenges. He was praying to God very intensely and meditating upon God. God appeared before him and he asked, "What is it that you want from me, child?" And this devotee asked, in all love, he said, "God, I'm boggled down by so many of my life troubles, challenges. Would you kindly, show me your presence? Would you take me along? Would you walk along with me in my life journey?" And God promised, "Yes, of course, child, I will do that. Whenever you need me, you just have to think of me. I'll be with you, walking along with you." And every time he had problems, challenges in lives, he sincerely remembered God, prayed to him, and he did notice two footprints alongside his. God was walking along him. So he had the confidence, the trust that God is, taking care of all my challenges, problems. There came a time when the problems were too enormous for him to handle. And he said, "God, this is something I can't handle. This is something I've never experienced before. You need to do what you could. I can't handle this." And that was the time he saw only one set of footprints. The second set was missing. He was so desperate and heartbroken. He was even upset and angry with God. He said, "See, when I needed you the most, you gave up on me. You didn't show your presence." God smiled and answered him. In all compassion, God said, "No, my child, you're mistaken. You were too mellowed down. So I knew you cannot handle this by yourself. You don't even have the strength or the courage to hold my hand. That was the time I decided to carry you and walk along. And all this while, you could see only one set of footprints. I was carrying you along. What you noticed was not your footprints, it was mine. So you were very safe. Even during the most troublesome periods of your life, remember God, trust in God, for you are no different from me. As long as you trust, as long as you hold on to your faith, I will never give up on you. For I constantly know, I'm aware that you and I are one. It is you who forget at times when being assailed in your life challenges. So I'm in the light is in me, and I am the light, I am divine, is what exactly Jesus described as the state, as I and my Father are one and the same. My dear brothers and sisters, we are all moving towards that point in our journey, which is the ultimate awareness of I am the light, I am divine. Hope this answers your question. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Auntie, for taking us on that journey through each of those 3 states. Thank you. We now come to the final question of this session. And the question we'd like to ask you, Auntie, is how do we establish and maintain our connection with the inner side?
No doubt, that is a very beautiful question again. We essentially have to establish and maintain our connection with inner side. For Bhagwan has very many times said, do not search for me outside. I am never outside of you. If you search constantly outside, you might only end up not finding me. Initially, we need to start somewhere. So we start seeing Swami's form as an external entity. But Swami is very much an inner being. He is our indweller. With all our experiences in our personal lives, we have the conviction, every one of us, brothers and sisters, all the Sai brothers and sisters who have heard of Swami even once, will come to that point of understanding, awareness, that Swami is not an outsider, he is an indweller. He is very much our inner side. And Swami's name, Sai, stands for that. See always inside. SAI stands for see always inside. Seek always inside. When we want to seek Swami, where do we search for him? Where do we seek him? Deep within our hearts, deep within our soul. That is where his permanent temple is there. The church, the mosque, the synagogue is very much within our hearts. And how do we establish that connection? And first of all, how do we establish? And then how do we maintain that inner connection with Sai? Swami has very beautifully given us the solution for this also. Swami has said, always remember the name. Namasmarana, chanting the divine name, constantly remembering the divine name of Sai is enough of sadhana. And he has said, in Kali Yuga, in this Kali age, human beings are so engrossed in activities. But the easiest path is given only to the beings of this Kali Yuga. Of all the other yugas, all the other ages, they had to do so many yajnas, yagas, and they had to do so many tasks. But this Kali age people, we are the most fortunate because our Bhagwan has made it so very easy. Our spiritual sadhana has been made very simple, which is why Bhagwan has said, enough if you take my name. That is more than enough. That will connect you constantly to me. The moment you call my name, my presence is there. You will feel. Bhagwan has said, wherever my name is being sung, wherever my glory, my name is being taken, my name is being sung with love and devotion, I instantly show my presence there. I install myself there, he says. If you take my name and sing my name, it's not that I will come and go. Swami says, I will install myself there, wherever my name is sung. Which is why Swami started his avataric mission when he was 14. He didn't start with the super specialty hospital brothers and sisters. He didn't start with the university. He didn't start his avataric mission with the water project. Later on, he came up with all that for the welfare of the humankind. But his very first mission statement was given through a bhajan. As soon as Swami declared himself to be an advent, an avatar, the first thing what he did was he sang a bhajan in his own beautiful voice. He sang Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, Dustara Bhavasagara Taranam. And he says through that bhajan, as we all know the meaning, Swami has said, always chant incessantly the divine name and hold on to the divine lotus feet of your Sadguru, Sai, the Sai Maharaj. Hold on to his lotus feet. That is enough to take you through this samsara sagara, this ocean of worldly existence. That will take you through the ocean of birth and death. One shore of this ocean is birth, the other shore is death. But you don't have to be tossed between the two shores of birth and death. The moment you start chanting the divine name of Sai, Swami has not limited himself to only this name, Sai. He has said, choose any name. God is one. You can choose any name of your choice and sing that name, remember that name, contemplate on that name, and constantly chant that name. Let that name become a part of you. Let that name merge within you. Let that name invoke the presence of God within you every moment. The moment you take his name with love and devotion, the moment you do that, Swami has promised, my presence is assured. Not only my presence is assured, I will install myself there then and there, instantly. My installation will be there. He says, I will constantly be with you. And that is the promise given by Swami. So that is first to start with, how do I establish? We might say, Swami, it is very easy to say, Swami, how much are we boggled by the present day, modern day world, and we have our routines, our all-consuming routines are enough to take up all our time. But Swami says, never mind, my child. However busy you are, on a very busy day, do you ever forget to breathe? On a very busy day, it could be an office problem, or it could be a household activity you're so engrossed in. If you're a student, it could be an academic activity, whatever it may be. Do you ever forget to breathe just because you're busy? You're having a busy day. Just because you're having a very busy, hectic day, does your blood stop circulating? Just because you're having a very busy, activity-packed day, does your digestion stop? Never. Always those inner organs are carrying on with their functions, their activities without a hindrance. However busy you are, like how you're breathing, your circulation, your digestion, all that goes on all the time. Similarly, never take an excuse. Sorry, Swami, I forgot to remember you today. And I was so busy. I had a very busy day. Swami says, no one can be busier than God. You have a limited activity, but God has to look after the entire creation and beyond. But yet, God has all the time. I have all the time for you. Why do you think you're too busy to remember me? After all, Swami says, let that become. That is why Swami says, Manasa Bhajare. If it was an external activity like singing bhajans, practically we may not be able to sing out loud in a bus or a train, in a public transport or at workplace or at our, academic place, wherever. But when the activity is internalized, that is when the connection has become very strong and it becomes constant. Anything external we might forget. Swami jokingly used to say, even though a person is bound to take some medication, lifelong medication, he tends to forget to take it on a few days. But if you constantly chant the divine name in your hearts, when that becomes an inner activity, the moment that becomes internal, that never stops. And that too, how to start that, how to establish Swami. Swami has given an answer to that. He says, start your day with love. What is God? Sai is nothing but love. So start your day with Sai, start your day with love. Spend the day with love. Fill your day with love. Spend the day with love. And finally, when you retire for the day, end the day with love. Offer, dedicate your entire day's activities to Swami. As you start the day with Swami's name, offering Swami everything that you are about to do. Swami, from this very moment onwards, all that I'm meant to do, be my guide, be my mentor, be my partner, be my companion, be with me every split second, Swami. I will constantly keep you in my heart. Everything I do, let it become an offering to you. Let my every single thought, word, and action be a humble offering to you, Swami. You and I make the best partners, Swami. So that is the best way to start establishing the connection. As we go on and on in the process of practicing this consciously, later on, after a point in time, it becomes our very nature. Whether or not we are aware, our heart, our every breath is remembering Sai. That becomes our source of sustenance of living. Swami becomes our all and everything. The moment Swami is seated in our hearts, there is only a single seat sofa, Swami says. Your heart is capable of holding only one single seated sofa, the throne. Make Sai be seated there. Make Sai the occupant of the single throne. Let Sai do the rest, he says. Once Swami is seated in our hearts, in the throne of our hearts, he starts playing football and he kicks. That's why the lotus feet is given so much of importance. The lotus feet starts kicking out all that which is not relevant, which is not needed, which will hamper our spiritual progress. The rest is all consequential, brothers and sisters. All that we need to do is, by way of establishing the connection with inner Sai, we just have to chant the divine name. Remember, incessantly chanting the name is all that we need to do. That is enough to maintain constantly that connection very firmly, very strongly, and that connection can never break, because that connection is no ordinary connection. That is the connection of the soul. That is the prema bandham, the love supreme, the connection of love supreme between Sai and I. Because I am no different from Sai. He is our all and everything, and he is the one and only one that exists in truth. Hope that explains your question, that answers your question. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Auntie. And thank you for taking us on this journey as we've explored this topic of making Swami our priority.